This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. Uh, on 9th May, we are doing our 19th session on the webinar series we had started. So for today, we are having our today's speaker is Pritesh Patel. He's just to give a brief introduction. He is a LLB from Mumbai University. He is an LLB Mumbai University from KC College. He is also a diploma in financial management from Wellington Institute of Management. He has started as an article advocate, assistant advocate under Mr. Rajesh Narula of Changiani Narula and Associates. Presently, he is practicing as an legal advisor to various real estate companies and various cooperative housing societies. He has consulting experience of more than 10 years in advising national and multinational clients on real estate matters before High Court, Maharashtra Real Estate Development Regulatory Authority, Mumbai Civil and Sessions Court, Debt Recovery Tribunal, Cooperative Court, and Metropolitan Magistrate Courts. He has delivered various seminars on High Court matters, judgments, RERA Act, as well as redevelopment of cooperative societies before a number of community. He is also involved in advising clients across various industry segments, and he has a lot of experience on the topic. With this brief introduction, please welcome our today's speaker, Pritesh Patel, advocate. And I would now request Pritesh sir to take over the session. Just a few instructions before that. We request everybody to keep their video and audio on mute, and we will take up the questions at the end. You can write your questions in the chat, and we will take up at the end. Thank you, everybody. And Pritesh sir, we can start.
Thank you, Shavik. Welcome, all my friends, family. I hope all are well, safe, sound, and healthy at home. So today I'm taking up a matter of drafting and execution of will. Let us see what is will first. Will is basically a declaration by a person in a writing regarding the distribution of his assets after his death. It is a unilateral document. Why unilateral? Because it has been signed by the person himself being a testator. That's why it's a unilateral document. And it takes effect only after the death of the person on how his wealth, property, and assets will be distributed on his death. Will is though a legal document. There is no prescribed form of it, as it can be a simple handwritten, typed, or merely a simple letter itself. A will may be revoked or altered by the owner of the will at any time prior to his death, and that can be termed as a codicil. Today we will be considering a few points like what types of will can be done, what is the essential of will, who can make the will, steps to follow before the execution of will, how to execute a will, basic ingredients in will, what can be the grounds to challenge a will, and other frequently answered questions. According to the Indian Succession Act, there are two types of wills. Number one, privileged will. Number two, unprivileged will. Now, what is privileged will? A privileged will are those wills which are made by soldiers who are employed in expedition or a warlike situation, or an airman or a mariner. Basically, army man, you can say. This type of will do not have any legal formalities, and they can be made in writing or orally. Now, what is the unprivileged will? Unprivileged will are other kinds of will. What is not the privileged will? It's a simple. And its execution, a lot of formalities need to be carried out, ranging from verification of signature till attestation of witnesses. So today we will be considering what is unprivileged will. The following has to be the very essential characteristics of the will. A person who is executing a will is termed as a testator. The intention of the testator must be to take effect after his death. So basically, a will come into picture only after the death of the person that is the testator, not before his death. A will is a form of a legal declaration of the intention of the testator. If the testator want to give certain his property after his death to some of his children, not all the children, a will is the right medium. The declaration of the testator must involve the manner of disposal of the property. As I said, his intention has to be very clear, very specific in the will. Of course, the testator can always revoke or alter his will during his lifetime. If he is revoking a will, then will has no legal effect, it's a nullity. If he is altering a will, it can be termed as a codicil. Now we come, who can make a will? As per section 59 of the Indian Succession Act 1925, any adult person, that is person who has attained majority, that is above the age of 18 years, and person is of sound mind, can make a will. Further, there is a certain judgments which says that a person ordinarily of unsound mind may make a will. Person ordinarily of unsound mind, that is a mad guy, can make a will during the interval of soundness of his mind, but not during the unsoundness of his mind. I will elaborate this more when we come. So basically, any adult, a person with a sound mind, can make a will. Now, how to execute a will? Step 1, all the essential of will as mentioned, that is a person of the majority, age, second, soundness of mind, without any undue influence and coercion, can make a will. It is always advisable to consult a family lawyer before drafting a will, because sometimes it happens, some law point or some things a layman are not aware of it. So it is always advisable to consult a lawyer before drafting a will. Either after consulting a lawyer, either you can yourself draft a will or you can ask your lawyer to draft a will. Personally, I advise that you should always consult a lawyer for drafting a will and ask him to draft a will. That's a good idea, in fact. Number 3, will is executed by ensuring the signature of the testator in the presence of the 2 witnesses and their signature as well. This is a must require condition. A signature by the testator himself and in the presence of 2 witnesses, not 1 witnesses. 2 witnesses are mandatory. Step 4. It would be beneficial if a will is registered and properly stamped, though stamping is not an issue in India, but it is advisable to get it registered and it helps in ensuring proper execution. I will elaborate this point later on when we come. For starting the process of execution of a will, a probate in India need to be obtained from the court. Take an example. If we are residing in Mumbai or Mumbai suburban, you can take a probate of the will by filing a petition, probate petition in the Honorable High Court. A probate of a will is a legal certification of the genuineness of the will. It can be obtained by filing a petition before the court. As I said, if we take a case of a Mumbai or Mumbai suburban area, we have a property in Mumbai suburban area and we want to get the probate of the will, then we have to file a petition before the Bombay High Court. That's a probate petition, we can say. So it can be Probate can be obtained by filing a petition before the appropriate court along with the schedule of the property. The schedule of the property is that what is mentioned in the will, and you have to also annex a copy of the will to the petition. In the petition, it should be expressly prayed to the court to grant probate to carry out the intention of the testator. The will is ultimately the execution of the testator after his death. Now, proper method of preserving the will can be done by ensuring that it is registered, as it would give a twofold benefit. Number one, it's having a documentary presence, and number two, its legal validity over the unregistered will. So it may happen sometimes. There are many instances. You have 2 to 3 wills. Now, which will is a genuine will? The registered will always get a superiority over the unregistered will. That's why it is always advisable to get the will registered. Now, what is to be included in the will? Number one, the details of the testator, that is person who wants to give away his property after his death, the name, age, address, and other details which shall help in identifying who is making the will and when is it being drawn. So two things are necessary here. Who is identifying the will? The testator. The identity of the testator has to be clearly mentioned in the will, and when the will was executed. Now, this being why the will being executed and when, this is crucial, because at that time the mental health of the testator has to be sound. As I said, it should not be unsound mind. The second ingredients of the good will is that it is very important that the testator declares that he is of sound mind and he is executing a will free from any coercion. Any will executed in pursuance of the coercion is a good ground for a challenge. What is next to be added in the will is details of the beneficiary. The details of who shall be benefiting out of this will and to whom shall the assets be divided shall be given as their name, age, address, and relation to the testator. The relation is not that much necessary, but if they are relating to the testator beneficiary, then it should be mentioned that they are the son, they are the daughters, they are the daughter-in-law, so and so, likewise. So identifying the testator and details of the beneficiary to whom the benefit should be passed on, it is very important for the will. Now, executor of the will. Now, who is the executor? That is a point. The executor is, after the death of the testator, who will execute, who will bring the ultimate intention of the testator to the logical end. The executor is that person. So it is very important to appoint an executor who would ensure that. Sorry.
Ritesh bhai, 1 minute. One minute. All are requested to please mute. Noise is coming. Please mute. Okay, Ritesh bhai. The mic is on. Someone's mic is on. Again, disturbance. Please mute. Yes, sir. Continue. Sir. Sorry.
Okay, are we good? Okay. So, who is the executor? The executor is the person after the death of the testator who takes the ultimate intention of the testator to the logical end. So it is very important to appoint an executor who would ensure that the will is carried out according to the direction provided by the testator. Because after the death of the testator, who is going to ensure that what has been intended by the testator has been achieved or has been passed away. So the name, age, address, and relation to the testator should be specifically mentioned. And this executor here will be the petitioner before the appropriate court for obtaining the probate. Now, next point, next ingredient of the good will is the details of the property and assets. As I said, the identification of the testator is important as that much of the identification of the property and assets that to be distributed. So it is pertinent to list out all the details of the assets and properties that a testator has and which are the ones that shall be covered in the will. He or she can also list out a specific assets that are there. So if we take an example, I have 2 flats, I have 3 bank accounts, I have 5 ornaments, a gold chain, a bracelet and all. If I want to give 1 bracelet and 1 chain to one of my son and 1 flat to one my daughter, then I have to specifically spell out that thing in the will, that I am owning so much of the property, out of which I have to divide this particular thing to my son, this particular thing to my daughter. So that is the next point, the division of the share. The share that each beneficiary has on the property or the specifics of who shall get what is listed in the full detail. If the asset is to be given to a minor, please make a note that if the asset is to be given to a minor, then a custodian for the minor shall also be listed in the will. So take an example. I have a small son who is of age 7. I want to, after my death, I want to give one of my flat to my son who is of age 7. Then since he is a minor, I cannot directly give it to him. So I have to appoint a custodian under the will. That custodian will take after that particular, look after that property and minor till my son attain the age of majority. Now, next crucial ingredient is specific direction. The testator should give direction in terms of executing the will and should specify it there are any instructions. So as I said, I have 2 sons, 1 daughter, and I have to give away 1 flat to 1 son, 1 office to 1 daughter. So that direction has to be very specific under the will. In the absence of any specific direction, the will can be easily challenged. Now comes the another crucial point, the witness. There should be a signature by the testator in the presence of at least 2 witnesses. So the testator has to sign in the presence of 2 witnesses. What is mentioned in the will should not be known to the witnesses, but witnesses must mention that the testator has signed in their presence and they are aware about the signature of the testator.
Oh.
Now here becomes the ground of a challenge of a will. As I said, the presence of coercion, fraud, or undue influences. This is a very good ground to challenge a will. If I have prepared a will under undue influences or coercion, some of my friends told me, boss, you do this, I'll give you this. You do this, I'll give you this. So this is a coercion. This is undue influence on me. So that can be a good ground. So no one should make a will under a coercion, fraud, or undue influences. The next ground for a challenge of a will is a presence of suspicious nature. There may be a presence of certain elements in the will which would give a reasonable understanding that there was some transgression with it. I'll take an example. I'm making a will today. As on date, I'm having only 1 flat. But I am mentioning about another flat which is not there on that date. So there's a suspicious nature. How can I make a will on the property which is not existing on that date? So that can be a good ground. So another point ground for challenge is absence of testamentary intention or a capacity. This means that the will may not depict an intention on behalf of the testator to carry out the will or execute it. Lack of testamentary capacity implies that the testator might not be of sound and a reasonable mind while drawing the will. So like I said, I take another example. One person is of about 70, 80 years old. Though he is of a sound mind, he wants to prepare a will. He has two sons. One son influenced him and asked him to give away all his property in his name. Only one son's name. And accordingly, that old man prepares a will and get it witnessed, signed and executed. So there was a lack of intention on behalf of the testator, that he was not of sound mind and he was coerced upon to execute something which is meaningless. So always the soundness and the reasonable mind of the testator should be tested while executing a will. The another ground for challenge of a will is no proper execution. If the signature of the testator along with those of the two witnesses are not present, then it can be a ground to challenge the validity of the will. So here it is a three things: signature of a three person, the testator himself, and the signature by the two witnesses. If any one thing is missing, then it's a improper execution and it's a good ground of challenge. Absence of knowledge. If the testator did not have knowledge of signing the will, then it can be taken a ground for challenging the will validity of the will. This is a simple ground. Now we comes to the basic frequently asked questions. Why should I make a will? Good question. Though normally a poor people does not have to worry about why should I make a will, but a rich or middle class always worry about why should I make a will. To prevent a dispute amongst the legal heirs and distribute all your assets as per your own wish, choice, and your whims and will, you should always get a will drafted. A well-drafted will can provide for the distribution of assets in a specified proportion among your spouse, children, parents, friends, and associates. Usually this will come into picture after you get married and you have sons and you have a properties. Now, who is the executor of the will? As I said, executor of the will is a person who will overview the entire process to ensure that the direction in the will are carried out as per the deceased wish. That is a testator's wish. An executor can be any person who is not a beneficiary in the will. Please make a note that a beneficiary in the will cannot be a executor. It will, if you make any beneficiary as a executor of the will, then it is another a good ground to challenge. So executor can be any person who is not a beneficiary in the will, or any trusted person such as a family friend or a lawyer or a chartered accountant. Usually what I have seen is that a will executor under the will has been a very good friend, close friend, or to whom you always rely upon. That is the person who is the executor under the will. Now what happens if you don't appoint an executor? If you don't appoint an executor and you go for a probate of the will, then High Court will appoint an administrator to carry out the intention under the will. So it is must you appoint an executor under the will. Now next frequently asked question is that who will get your assets if you die without making a will? Your asset will be divided and distributed according to the succession laws, which are based on the deceased person's religion. If you are a Hindu, you will be governed by Hindu Succession Act. If you are Muslim, you will be governed by Mohammedan law, Parsi law, other law. Christian has been governed by the Indian Succession Act. Now next question is, what makes a will legal? The will should be written with the consent, free will of the testator, Must be a will. A will should be signed by two witnesses who have seen the testator writing the will. Who are signing it? Is sorry, anyone? Yeah,
Hitesh bhai, please continue.
yeah. Now, what makes a will legal? Though it is not mandatory to get it registered, but usually we advise that will should be registered, as we enlighten that it has a priority over the unregistered will. When should you make a will? Another point, you can always make a will after you attain the age of 18. And as I said, you should make a will once you get married and have a children. And these factors substantially drive the contents of the will. Now, what are the common mistakes that you should avoid while drafting a will? Not being specific about the assets. See, as I said, when you have 2 or 3 flats, you mention only about 1 flat. So what about the 2 remaining flats? That you should not do. It's a common mistake. When you are drafting a will, you should cover all your movable as well as immovable properties into the will and properly segregate and distribute among your heirs or legal representatives. If there are any change in the status of the assets, not making the necessary alteration in the will. Likewise, I said, if you have a 1 flat as on date, subsequently you acquired another flat, you should amend your will accordingly. You make a codicil, adding your another flat to the will and distribute to your legal heirs. If you are making a new will and not making a declaration to revoke the previous will, so as per the legal provision, there cannot be 2 wills. There is a will and there is a codicil. But the moment you draft a new will, then you have to revoke the previous will. In the absence of revocation of the previous will, your will become a nullity. Another point, common mistake, that appointment of any interested party as an executor. As I said, you cannot make a beneficiary as an executor. Like you want to give away your one particular flat or one particular movable property to your son. So you should not appoint your son as an executor of the will. This will be a good ground for challenge of the will. The another common mistake we do is that we give away under the will or property, movable or immovable, to a minor without appointing a guardian. So this is a common mistake. In the absence of appointment of guardian, a will is of no use. Now next question is it important to register a will? It is not mandatory to register a will under any law, but usually if will is registered, it has an upper hand against the unregistered will, and it will be a document of a proof that will be safe in the hands of a registrar, as it cannot be tampered with subsequently or any time after the registration. Now again, the next question is, can I change your will? Can you change your will after registration? Of course, you can change your will. You can modify your will. You can revoke your will. Revocation is a good thing. Addition, alteration in the will be termed as a codicil. So you always have a right to change, alter, or revoke your will. Now next question is, what are the advantages of getting a will registered? Registration of a will carries the benefit that tampering of the original will cannot be done, and it can be compared with the will that is maintained in the office of the registrar. So if you have registered a will, someone goes and tampered it with, it can easily be identified that it has been tampered, and it's a good ground. In the event of original will is destroyed or lost, a certified copy can be obtained from the office of the sub-registrar. So if you have registered a will and you have lost the will, you can always obtain another copy, true copy, certified true copy from the office of the sub-registrar. If a will is made regarding leasehold property, it can be used to edit entries in the mutation register before probate is obtained. So on the ground of the registered will, you can mutate, that is a revenue record. You can create a revenue record and you can put your name on the property card. Now, another frequently asked question is that what assets can be covered under the will? All the movable and immovable assets, including but not limited to real estate property, fixed deposit, money, bank accounts, securities, bonds, proceedings of insurance policies, retirement benefits, art collection, precious metal like gold, silver, diamond, etc., brand names, trademarks, intellectual property rights, etc. Everything, whatever movable or immovable properties you have, you can always give away under the will to your favorite one. Now, who can be a witness to the will? The next frequently asked question: to whom should I take a witness under the will? Anyone who has attained the majority, that is above the age of 18 years, who is of a sound mind, and who is generally recommended to not to have beneficiary as a witness. A beneficiary, again, a beneficiary cannot be a witness under the will. Now, next frequently asked question is, if the will is signed by a single witness, is it valid? No, it is not valid. The will has to be signed by two witnesses, and both the witnesses must confirm that the testator has signed before them and they are aware of the signature of the testator. Now, another frequently asked question is that what happens to the validity of the will if one of the two witnesses die? Though the will not become null or a void, but if someone challenges the will and one of the witness found to be dead, then it would become little tricky or complicated to get it prove that the will is genuine, will has been signed by two witnesses before the one of the witnesses expired. Make sure that it should not happen, but you cannot. Now, next point is, how much is the cost of making a will in India? That's again a very frequently asked question, that usually how much should be charged by a legal professional. So in India, usually 4,000 to 6,000 can be charged for drafting a will, or any senior lawyer may take between 10 to 15,000 for drafting a will. Now here, can you update or change your will? As I said, yes, you can always change or update your will, but if you are updating or changing your will, make sure that to discard the previous will and draft a new will. If you are modifying or altering certain terms, then you must make a codicil. Now, again, frequently asked question is that, can you handwritten the will? Yes, there is, though the will is a legal document, it has a no prescribed format. You can merely write on a single page or double page and put your signature. It's a will. Now, last but not least, the frequently asked question is, what is a valid will in India? As I told you, any will which is the essential what we discuss right now, executed by the testator who has attained the age of majority, who is of sound mind, with the proper intention to distribute all his properly identified assets, properties to the legal heirs, is a valid will. It has been signed by two witnesses, must. So here we comes to an end of the drafting and settlement of will.
Pritesh bhai, one suggestion.
Yes.
I have WhatsApp you many questions. I can read it out over here, and we can complete the questions related to will right now. Is it fine?
Yeah, fine. No difficulty. Yeah.
So first question is, what if the person is residing outside Mumbai? Applicability of obtaining probate is mandatory? Question mark.
Yes, to this point, if the person is residing outside Mumbai, then they have to approach a district court for obtaining a probate. A probate is the mandatory. The probate is the genuineness of the will. In the absence of probate, your will cannot be termed as a genuine.
Okay. Next question is,
Hmm.
what is the difference between nomination and will?
See, will is the thing that will comes into picture after the death of the testator. And the nomination is when you nominate something. Will is simply a transfer of property after the death of the testator. And nomination is merely a nomination. You are nominating one person. It's a part transfer of property, not the entire.
Okay. Next
Yeah,
question
nomination.
is,
I would like to just clarify more on this nomination and will. Nomination would be done under the Companies Act as well as the Societies Act or under the Banking Act. You can nominate your legal heir to look after your death is over. But will is absolute transfer of the property after the death.
next question is, my client has recently expired without making a will. That is interstate. He has a son and a daughter. He has made his son as a nominee for his bank account and shares portfolio. What are the legal steps to be taken for distribution of the asset to his legal heirs?
This question is not precise actually.
Okay. So maybe we'll take it separately.
What are the legal steps to be taken for distribution of the assets to his legal heirs? See, first of all, what is the religion of that particular fellow who is expired? So the succession would be governed by as per the religion. If he was a Hindu, then his distribution would be governed by Hindu Succession Act.
Okay. Maybe we'll take it separately afterwards.
Okay.
Next question is probate of will necessary even though the will is registered?
Yes. Yes. Probate is necessary even though the will is registered.
Okay. Next question is, if will is executed after death of testator without taking probate, whether this is legal, and up to what time any person can take objection about not taking probate?
No, 1 minute. If will is executed after the death of a testator,
yes,
its will is it has a no legal sanctity. The will is void.
Yeah.
Will has a nullity. You cannot execute any document after the death of the executor. Any document, forget about will. If the testator is passed away or expired, the will is gone if it has not been properly executed.
Okay. Next question is, when a person takes diksha or becomes sadhu, he or she prepares a document showing distribution of his or her assets. Can it be treated as a will?
No.
Unique question.
No. This will be termed as a release deed or a relinquishment deed. This cannot be a will because, as I said, will takes effect only after the death of the person, not during the lifetime of the person.
Okay. Next question is it preferable to have a doctor as a witness?
Yes, doctor and a chartered accountant.
Okay.
Because the you need to have a doctor's certificate that person who has executed a will is of a sound mind when he has executed a will. Soundness of mind is very crucial.
Next question is, what if a person has passed away without making a will? That is intestate.
Yeah, he is died intestate without making any arrangement of his properties. So his properties will be distributed according to his religion, according to his succession.
The question is how it will be distributed, whether equally or in some formula.
Yeah, if we say if he's a Hindu, then it will be distributed equally amongst the class 1 legal heirs under Hindu Succession Act.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question is, can you make will for an inherited property?
Yes, you can make a will for inherited property, but that is always subject to challenge.
Okay. Next question is, can testator fix remuneration of executor? If yes, then what if beneficiary do not accept the quantum of amount?
No, it is not up to the beneficiary to accept the quantum of amount. If the remuneration is fixed, then while obtaining a probate, his remuneration has to be taken into consideration before granting probate.
Okay.
So whatever will be passed on to beneficiary, that will be after the remuneration paid to the executor.
Okay. Moving on to next question. There are actually a lot of questions coming in. If the
Okay.
executor of the will is relative of some beneficiary, but not a beneficiary himself, whether it is valid or improper appointment.
You can say it's a valid, but since there is a many landmark judgments over it that the beneficiary should not be a witnesses or a executors in the will. It will become a simple ground to challenge a will otherwise.
Okay. When beneficiary is appointed as executor, there is a change of challenge to a will, but there is a change of challenge to a will, but understand beneficiary can be an executor. Why executor cannot be a beneficiary? Please explain in detail. Can I repeat?
See, why executor cannot be a beneficiary? Because as I said, after the death of the testator, for obtaining a probate, who will approach the court? Who will file a petition? That executor. So if you take an example, someone has appointed me an executor of his executor of his will. I file a petition in the High Court in my name. And if I am only the beneficiary, and if someone challenge the same, then court will simply draw the adverse inference from the fact that I am filing a petition, I am only the beneficiary. So it is a simple ground. Court will draw adverse inference from this thing.
Okay. Next question is
actually for this thing I'm remembering one of poems in Gujarati medium. We used to say कि एक I don't know how much there are, एक अपने ही खेत में जाता है और बोलता है कि दूसरे के खेत में जाता है, वहां पर रहता नहीं था और बोल रहा था कि भाई मैं यहाँ से बैंगन ले लूं क्या, तो खुद ही आंसर देता है हाँ बैंगन ले लो करके, तो खुद ही वहां से 4-5 बैंगन उठा के लेके जाता था वैसा. So this situation वैसी आती होती है फिर. The executor and beneficiary cannot be the same person.
Beneficiary is appointed as an executor and there is no disputed party, means the legal heirs and everything, they have no dispute whether it is okay.
It's okay, there is no difficulty. It is always subject to a litigation or
Okay.
objection.
Next question is, what if new will is prepared and old is not cancelled? Whether new supersedes old automatically?
So both will, if new will is prepared and old is not cancelled, then both are in picture. Now, which will supersede? That will come when someone takes an objection. If under the old will I am a beneficiary and under a new will someone else is a beneficiary, then it's a matter of litigation. Then the court will consider ultimately which will supersede which. It is always the intention of the testator under the will. A clear and specific instruction in the will supersede the other.
Can a tenancy right be assigned?
No.
Uh, what are the charges and time taken for obtaining probate?
Usually I say in High Court it takes around 8 to 12 months. And the charges would be ranging from 1.50 lakhs to 3 lakhs, depending upon the schedule of the property.
Next question is, what if both the witnesses have passed away?
Again, if someone challenges the will, witness has to step into the witness box, and both the witnesses passed away, then you don't have any witnesses to step into the witness box to show the genuineness of the will. So it would be very difficult at the time of conducting a trial to prove that the will is genuine.
Next question is it that only beneficiaries to be included in will, or all probate claimant under Succession Act should be mentioned in the will? And if possible to avoid litigation at future date, explain the willingness of testator why he does not want to bequeath to a particular beneficiary. I think some lawyer has written this, I think.
1 minute. Is that only beneficiaries to be included in will, or probable claimant under Succession Act should be mentioned in the will? No, the first part is that only beneficiaries to be included in will, or all probable claimant under Succession Act? You can always mention. You have so many legal heirs, but you must mention how you want to distribute your property and to whom. If you have 10 legal heirs, but you want to distribute your property only amongst the 2 legal heirs, then you should mention that. Now the next point is, if possible to avoid litigation at future date, explain the willingness of testator why he or she does not want to bequeath to a particular beneficiary. See, there is no compulsion on the part of the testator that why he or she wants to bequeath the particular property to particular legal heir. There is no compulsion. I hope this has clarified the question.
Okay.
If I have 10 legal heirs, if I want to give my particular property to one legal heir, I don't need to clarify why I want to give this particular property to one legal heir only.
Okay. Next
That is
question
the ultimate will. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Next question is, will maker is not educated as to writing skills and is illiterate. What precautions will you suggest in such a case if he does not have any other options?
Yeah, good question. Actually, this is a good question. If will maker is uneducated, or will is drafted in some other language which is not known to the testator, then you have to engross at the bottom or at the very crucial page that it has been made in so and so language, and it has been read and explained to so and so in his language known to him, and he has confirmed the same.
And is it necessary to give reasons of making will?
No.
Okay. We'll just take 2 or 3 more questions because there are a lot of questions, but if time permits, we will take it afterwards.
Okay.
1 or 2 questions more. Whether will has to be made on stamp paper, what is the value of stamp paper? If yes.
No. It does not. As I said, will is a legal declaration, and though it's a legal document, but it can be simply made on a simple letter, also simple page also. It need not need to be on the stamp paper.
Okay. Will maker is blind and has signed the will, but what is the validity of such will? What precautions can be taken?
Will maker is a blind and has signed the will. What is the validity of
he has physical disabilities?
No, again the same thing, physical disabilities. Then you have to mention that so and so. See, once you say the will maker is a blind, then you have to mention that it has been prepared as per his instructions. It has been read over to him. He has confirmed the same, and it has been signed by 2 witnesses.
The last one is release deed good instead of obtaining probate?
Release deed is something else. Probate is something else. Release deed is when you have a right over one particular property and you want to give away that right in some other person's favor, then it's a release deed. Now, probate is something that when will is executed and you have to get it certified from the High Court or from the appropriate court, then you have to file a petition for the probate. So both are the different things.
And the last for now, does lady member of family has a right to claim in the property even if she is married?
Yes. But how the will is concerned about that? Yeah, the lady member has a right as per
Okay,
recent Supreme Court judgment.
Okay, I think the question might be if will is not prepared, then whether she has a right.
Of course, that again depends which religion she belongs to.
Okay.
If she is a Hindu, then Hindu Succession Act will follow.
Okay. We can continue with the next topic. There are a few more questions, but if time permits, we'll take it up.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here, can you hear me on? Hello? Can anyone unmute yourself and confirm?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So another topic which we are taking up today is settlement of family disputes. The property disputes are a common occurrence in India. Since greed is a great leveler, wars over wealth takes place across the strata, from low-income household to ultra-rich families. Even an ironclad may be challenged by unhappy beneficiaries. The obvious solution for most squabbling relative is to take the matter to the courts. In a nutshell, a family settlement is an agreement where family members mutually work out how a property should be distributed among themselves. All the properties should be related to each other. All the parties should be related to each other and have a claim to share of the disputed property. The latter need not be limited to real estate, but it can also cover movable assets like jewelry or money in a bank accounts. A family settlement is usually used to settle common property or a joint property that the family owns, as opposed to individual or a joint property that the family owns or a self-acquired property. Those who wish to avoid protracted public and messy court battles will find that the family settlements are quicker, more harmonious way to resolve disputes. Of course, a family may not be able to reach a consensus in which the legal recourse is the only way out. So despite trying all this, family settlement, if one is so rigid and so strong that he wants to go on with the fight, then the ultimate recourse is the court matters. This is a conciliation process where a third person, usually a lawyer or a senior family member, helps the family arrive at a mutually acceptable solution to the property dispute. A family settlement need not strictly be a single document incorporating the distribution of assets. It may also be a series of documents spelling out the property rights of each family member. Say, a family of two brothers and a sister are squabbling over a flat, an office, and some ancestral jewelry. They could draw up a settlement agreement stating that the oldest brother gets the flat, the sister bags the jewelry, and the office goes to the remaining sibling. Now, the taxation purpose, the family settlement, is of the very crucial. The most important thing to remember is that the instrument that is the family arrangement deed, is neither treated as a gift nor as a transfer as per the income tax laws. So, one would have to draw up a separate transfer of property documents in addition to the family arrangement to bring out an actual transfer. This is where the instrument like gift, sale deed come into play. The tax factor must be considered when deciding on a transfer of property document. For instance, if you use a gift deed to transfer property to relative, there is an income tax component on it. Similarly, a sale deed may invite capital gain tax. However, so long as no transfer takes place, the parties to a family settlement will not be subject to capital gain tax in respect of the profits derived from their share of the property. Now, steps to remember while coming to a consensus that there are few legal formalities that need to be completed to ensure that the family agreement is valid. Firstly, the settlement document must be signed by all the family members involved. A missing signature can easily become a ground for challenge in a court at a later date. In addition, as a safety measure, the document should be attested by 2 witnesses. Though it is not mandatory, it is always advisable to get it attested by 2 witnesses. The next step is to register the agreement. As per Section 17 of the Indian Registration Act, a family settlement that purpose to assign immovable property must be mandatorily registered, or the deed, that is the family arrangement deed, would be invalid. A stamp duty is applicable on such deed, and the stamp duty amount would depend on the value of the property involved. While a duly executed family settlement cannot be revoked except with a court decree, it can be challenged in a court of law. An agreement that is brought about by fraud or coercion is a case in a point. Any misrepresentation of facts regarding the title of the disputed property too can lead to a future altercation. Another common ground on which it is challenged is improper execution. Keeping in mind all the above criteria, while drawing an agreement will result a foolproof, amicable and binding family settlement which benefits everybody. Now, few of the documents which requires to be executed and which is in line with the family arrangement is the release deed, relinquishment deed, the surrender deed and the partition deed. Now, what is relinquishment release deed? Now, one Hindu person died. His property devolved upon his 2 sons, 2 daughters and a wife as per the Hindu Succession Act. Let us say that daughter does not want to have the right in the property of the father, the Hindu father who passed away. The daughter will execute a release deed, relinquishment deed, thereby relinquishing all her right, title, interest in the father for property of the father. So there, the release deed or a relinquishment deed comes into picture. Similarly, the surrender deed. The same daughter may execute a surrender deed, thereby surrendering all his right, title, interest into the property, father's property, to the brother or the mother. Now, the partition deed. Now, what is the partition deed? Similarly, as we pointed out, there is a flat, there is a bank cash kept in the bank accounts, there is some dividends, shares are lying, a son, a daughter and a mother comes out with a solution that the son will keep the flat, the mother will keep the shares and the daughter will keep the proceeds of the bank account. So they will accordingly execute a partition deed specifying all this distribution of the property which is valid. So here comes the other governing act, the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, Hindu Succession Act 1956, the Indian Succession Act 1925, the Guardians and Wards Act 1890 and the Special Marriages Act 1954. If a person expired, died intestate, is a Hindu person, then his property and assets will be governed as per the Hindu Succession Act. If a Christian is passed away without any will, then his assets and properties would be governed under the Indian Succession Act. Similarly, the Parsis. Now, last but not least, for enforcement and adjudication of all matrimonial and other related disputes of any person in any of the different religious or non-religious communities under the respective legislations mentioned above, the designated judicial forum or a court where such petition is to be lodged is prescribed in the respective enactment themselves. There is an organized system of designated civil and criminal judicial courts within every state in India. Such courts works under the overall jurisdiction of the respective high court in the state. It is in the hierarchy of these courts that all the family and matrimonial causes are lodged and decided. In addition, the Indian Parliament has enacted the Family Courts Act 1984 to provide for establishment of family courts with a view to promote conciliation in and to secure a speedy settlement of disputes relating to marriage and family affairs. Despite the existence of organized, well-regulated and established hierarchy of judicial courts in India, there are still unrecognized parallel community and religious courts in existence whose interference has been deprecated by the judicial courts, since such an unauthorized and unwarranted bodies work without the authority of law and are not parts of the judicial system. We can say, if we have a community, we usually, when the family dispute occurs, we usually approach a senior family person to mediate in the matter and try to conciliate the dispute. If that does not solve, then we approach a court. So this is the family dispute, the settlement of the family dispute. Now you can ask if you have any query regarding the same.
For family dispute, there are no queries as of now.
Okay.
So I have WhatsApp you the queries related to will. Maybe you can go through them.
Okay. Go ahead. You can ask me.
Yeah, one second. Which will prevail, last one or registered will, when there is a subsequent will?
When there is a subsequent will, a will which is registered has an upper hand superiority over the unregistered will. See, it is all this question comes when someone challenges the will. If you have two wills, of course, both the wills are going to be challenged by the respective parties who are the beneficiaries under the will. But the will which is registered will have a superiority over the unregistered will.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, but registered will be as a legal sanctity, or the last will have a legal sanctity?
See, under the last will, it is always, we have to see that has it been revoked, the previous will, or not? That is another question. If it is
challenge
revoked,
is a one part. I appreciate, sir, what you have said, the concern about the challenge is a
yes,
one part. Challenge will always be there if a subsequent will is not registered once the previous will is registered. But what will happen about the legal sensitivity wise? The last
see,
will prevail or the registered will?
last will, because under the law, the will need not to be a registered will. So unregistered will is as good as the registered will. So which is the latest will be considered and taken into consideration.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Next one is whether video recording of will being signed by a testator and a witnesses can add to the validity of the will.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It is a super validity.
Okay. What is the difference between letter of administration and will?
See, there's again the tag thing. This is also a testamentary document, letter of administration. When one died intestate, when any person died intestate without making a will, so the legal heir has to approach the court either for the succession certificate or the letter of administration for administering the properties of the deceased person. So letter of administration will come into picture when there is no will. If there is a will, then you have to go for a probate of the will, not for the letter of administration.
Next is, according to Hindu Succession Act, does the son of second wife not adopted by the husband fall in class 1?
Actually, today we are not taking Hindu Succession Act. That is not the subject. We'll take it some other day.
Is stamp paper required while registering the will?
No.
Okay. Is it mandatory to obtain succession certificate? If yes, what is the cost, approximate cost?
Yes, it falls in the same line as of probate. It requires little less time, around 8 to 10 months. And it is not mandatory to obtain succession certificate. Thus, since a person died intestate without making any will, and a legal heir has any problem mutating his name on a record, then he needs to have a succession certificate that he is the successor of the particular person who is passed intestate, died intestate. It is not mandatory, but
can a person make a will saying that you want to give assets to someone, but in case of his death, to some other person?
yes,
So
that can be done.
example is, okay,
Yes.
suppose my wife is alive now and I'm making will in her favor, but also know that due to age, so I will make will after
yeah,
her death.
yeah, if
That
your wife
property will go
predeceases
to
someone, yes, that can be done. Yeah, that can be done.
okay. And declaration by a daughter at the time of marriage that she doesn't want any right in property of her father and father's HF. What is validity of such declaration?
Declaration is a
Whether
valid,
such
and that is what I said. That's a relinquishment deed. That's a relinquishment or a release of all her right, title, interest in the father's property.
and whether that whether the daughter can revoke it on a later date.
If the document is registered, then again it's you have to obtain the order from the court if the document is registered.
Okay. Can a will be made for tenancy rights?
No. So tenanted property will cannot be. If it is maintained, it has a no legal sanctity.
Okay. Is there any stamp duty on family settlement?
Yes, depending upon the amount of property involved.
Okay. Who should be the parties to family settlement? One of
Sharvik, 1 minute, sir. Just sorry to disturb you.
Okay.
Stamp duty, as I understand, the family settlement has got a very uniform stamp duty, or is it varying depending upon the value of the properties involved in the family settlement?
Yes, sir. It varies from the value of the property involved in the family settlement.
As I understand, it is a fixed amount which has been prescribed under the Stamp Act, and the other document which you have suggested, like a relinquishment deed or a gift or a transfers, which are happening later on a separate document, that will
No, sir. Sir,
that will attract the separate stamp duty.
if you don't pay stamp duty, the document is not going to be registered, and the family settlement deed has to be registered as per registration Indian Registration Act.
Correct.
next question is also from Mahendra Bhai only.
Yeah.
Who should be the parties to family settlement? If
It is
one of the
always-
family
It is always advisable that all the family members should be party to the family deed. Otherwise, it will become a good ground for who is not signed the document or who is not party to the document to go and challenge the family partition before the court.
okay. If one of the family member is abroad and have not signed or is not willing to sign, then what will happen?
His right remain intact.
Okay. Means in
Yes,
future
he
he
is
can
not party
challenge.
to the family. Yeah, of course.
Next question is how to carry out valuation of immovable property.
Valuation of immovable
dispute.
property. You have to get it valued from the government approved valuer.
Yes. And that will be used for stamp duty calculations.
If it's a immovable property, and then it would be governed under the as per the ready reckoner rate. Ready reckoner rate of the property.
Two more questions. Is it necessary to have executors to family settlement?
Sorry?
Is it necessary to have executors for family settlement?
Executors need not to be there for the family settlement. The witness has to be there. 2 witnesses are advisable.
Next is if property is the name of father, is in the name of father and mother die interstate, children relinquish their right, whether this relinquishment document is required to be registered.
Yes. Any sort of family arrangement, including relinquishment deed, requires to be registered and has to be properly stamped.
How to Last question, how to get probate for property lying in foreign country?
If the person is expired here, hello,
Yeah, sir. Can you?
sorry. If the property is lying abroad, that cannot. If the person is expired in Mumbai, then you have to file a probate petition before the Honorable High Court, or if he is residing in some other place, then approach the appropriate district court, irrespective of whether the property is lying.
Sir, but I understand that it is the location of the property which will prevail over the stay of the person.
No, sir. No, sir.
The court or the jurisdiction where the properties are lying,
Both.
immovable property wise, what I understand is.
Either of them, sir. Either of them. If you are residing here, you can file here. If your property is here, you can file here, though you are residing somewhere else. So if you are, I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example. You are residing in Mumbai. Okay. You have prepared a will. Your property is in one Delhi, one Rajkot, one Madhya Pradesh. Correct? So you can either file a probate petition in Delhi, Rajkot, or Madhya Pradesh, or in Mumbai, where you were residing at the time of your death.
What about the foreign property, sir? If it is a nation-wise, jurisdiction-wise, it is a foreign, totally out of India.
Same thing. At the time of your death, if you are residing in Mumbai, you can file a probate petition in Mumbai.
The law of the foreign country will be admitting such kind of probate, sir?
Of course.
Or that jurisdiction will be whatever legal provisions applicable to that country will be applicable.
See. First of all, you need to prove your right over that property. So how are you going to prove your right over the property? By probate. Okay. The first thing. So here the Indian law comes into picture. How you are the owner of the property? By will. How by will you obtain a probate? Okay. So by probate, you become the owner of the property situated in the foreign national. Correct? So by virtue of this probate petition, you have to approach that particular country and you have to inform them that you are the owner of this particular property by virtue of this thing, Indian law.
Okay.
One more question we have received.
Yeah.
Flat is in the joint name of father and mother. Mother dies without will. Single nomination signed by both father and mother in favor of one son, one of the three sons. Whether nomination comes in effect, two persons have made joint nomination. Basically, one is alive and one is passed away. So
see, nomination. There are two things. The people have some misconception about this nomination. The nomination is in respect of the membership of the society, not the ownership of the flat. See, if one person passed away, there are two things: ownership of the property and the membership of the society. So when we say nomination, nomination is only restricted to the membership of the society. It has nothing to do with the ownership of the property. I hope this is clarified. Hello.
Yeah. As of now, these are the questions. Any other questions you participants want to ask?
Hello. Yeah, I would like to ask one, Pritesh bhai. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Now in the family settlement agreement, what we are making, in the course of making one of the beneficiary expires. What will be the status of that agreement?
Beneficiary after. See, the family agreement, when you make, all the members has to sign that agreement, correct? So at the time of executing and registering the agreement, that particular family member was alive.
Yes.
I'm asking
yes.
You, correct? Okay.
Yeah,
he was alive at the time of executing and registering the agreement. So that means he has confirmed and he has acted upon the family partition. So subsequent death of that particular family member does not create any further confusion or does not alter the situation.
Okay, thank you, and a very nice talk.
Sir, what will happen in case if someone who is a beneficiary has expired pre-deceased, like and their descendants are alive and they are by succession, they are beneficiaries in the family settlement. Like, so who should sign in that case?
They should be made party, stating their undivided share in the property.
So all that widow and their all
Yes.
children will have to sign in
Yes.
that case.
Yes. Yes. Better.
Yeah.
Better.
Okay. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
I think Mr. Bhavesh wants to tell something.
Yeah.
Hitesh bhai,
Sir, is there-
one of my questions is there.
Hello.
Your voice
Are
is
you-
not
Hitesh
audible. Yes.
Hello.
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 Yes, I
Bhavesh
can
bhai,
hear
your
you.
voice is not audible properly. Bhavesh bhai,
Achha,
your voice is not audible properly.
I have Mr. Pritesh, I have typed the query and send you also there. You can see that.
No, I'm unable to see.
I have sent you by chat. Huh. Hello.
Can you send it again to common everybody?
Okay.
Hitesh bhai, one of my query is there. When
Yes.
two witnesses required for the registration, for the witness as a signatory. So at the time of registrar, that two witness has come. After that, one witness expired.
Okay.
Though registered document is there, then also it is challenged.
No, then there would be a little less complication. See, the point comes when that particular witness has to step into the witness box for the cross-examination.
Okay. When registered document is there, then there is a little bit challenge,
Little,
not challenge.
little less complication. And that
Okay.
particular witness has attended the registration office. The same witness.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, there is a one view that in the COVID time, the will can be prepared, and as you suggested, that there has to be two witnesses. Now, in the COVID time, people say or the advice like there can be a document. How that witness compliance can be done in that case, sir?
I really amazed that I haven't come across any such notification from any department. So far,
So
it is
what
applicable.
precaution you will suggest, sir, in that case? Because there is always a distance maintenance during this time. So who will be the witness and how it is to be confirmed that he has seen you while signing the will?
Yeah, correct.
And
So
what
you have
precautions you will suggest, sir, in that case?
as our Prime Minister rightly said, you prepare a document. During that time, 2 गज की दूरी विटनेस को खड़ा रखना लंबा. आप साइन करो, टेस्टेटर साइन करेगा, उसके बाद वो हट जाएगा, विटनेस आके साइन करेगा, उसके बाद दूसरा विटनेस आके साइन करेगा. You have to maintain 2 गज की दूरी. That is there.
So
You
what
cannot
is
override the two witness
what is the challenging chance in that case? That is the day after when the beneficiaries, who is not getting the share in the benefits. What is the chance of challenge in that case, sir?
challenge that
Or
means
is
will is not genuine.
or is it necessary that you can have a video recording of it and everything again?
Of course.
That will have any
Yeah.
sensitivity in the law.
Yes, of course. When you have a proof that video has been recorded while the testator himself signed and the witness has signed, and that will always have an advantage.
Okay. Fine, sir.
One more question. From Bhavesh bhai. He has written it. If foreign property is for foreign property, separate will is prepared. Then also probate is required.
Yes, if person is residing and breathed his last breath in India, then will is probate is required.
Any other questions?
Just one more question, sir. Charvik, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
The will is prepared, say, for example, today, and in the future course of time, some more assets are being earned, or there are change in the assets,
Correct.
or there may be some asset which is not in the knowledge of the testator who is making the will. What do you suggest in that case? How will has to be prepared, or what precautions has to be taken? So
the moment you said you don't have in your own knowledge or existing property, then it creates a doubt over the genuineness of the will. First thing. The second thing, if you acquired any property subsequent to the making of will, then either you can revoke the existing will and prepare a fresh one, or you can always add that particular property by making an codicil.
Or is it advisable that residuary clause would be sufficient, stating that whatever the other asset which I in the course of my lifetime earn or generate some more assets, or I inherit, which is not in my knowledge, because the father might have left some property in my native place and I may not be in knowledge of, and my elder brothers or other family members may be in knowledge of, and I'm getting the share out of that. So whether that can be taken care of by a residuary clause stating that all other assets which are been either earned by me, self-generated, or it is inherited by the whatever course in my future terms, will all go to a particular son or a daughter or a family member, whether that will suffice.
Sir, if you ask me, my advice would be that is, I would not do that actually. The identification of the property is a must for making a good will. If you say any residuary property or any future property, then you can always make a separate codicil for that. So I would not advise that.
Okay.
Even this addition of the property, the original will has been registered, but the addition of property, can I make on paper by witnessing through signature?
Yes.
Next question is, after will is executed at home with 2 witnesses, within how much time it has to be registered? A different witness at registration can be done or not?
It can be done. Different witness can be done. Usually, if you registered immediately, usually we advise it should be registered immediately. It should not take much time. Otherwise, there is no such prescribed time limit for that.
Charvi bhai, one more question is there. For example, a person has no knowledge of the English. Advocate has to prepare the draft of the will in English. He has very well knowledge of the Gujarati. So it is required to translate that will to the Gujarati and staple that will to the registrar.
If you do that, that is again have an advantage. But apart from that, you have to say that you have to read over that particular will into the Gujarati to that testator, and he has confirmed that whatever has been mentioned in the will, it has been recorded as per his wish.
So by English, it's also
yes,
it's okay.
Even though the will is made in English, but that English language is not known to the testator, there has to be an endorsement on the will that the will is made in English and it has been read over to the testator in Gujarati language, and he has confirmed the same.
This point has to be challenged, I think so, because he is no knowledge of the English. Maybe this point can be challenged.
It has to be, this can be a challenge, but when there is endorsement is that it has been read over to the testator in his Gujarati language and he has confirmed the same, then that will supersede the, that will again give you advantage when the will is being challenged.
Okay, thank you.
That statement has to be read over by the preparer of the will, like an advocate or a chartered accountant, or that witnesses has read over. What is the correct way to mention in the will? Because who is to in the future date, suppose some family member who is not been getting the benefit out of the will, he may challenge that this is just for the sake of writing, it has been written, and he has no knowledge of the English at all. So how that is to be overcome?
So to overcome that particular situation, whoever that person who has read over that particular will to the testator must sign before the endorsement that I have read over and it has been explained to so and so person in his known language and his signature. So when if the witness can do that,
And that person's presence in future date is must in that case of a challenge, or because
once the will is challenged, that person's testy, statement must be there, crucial.
Okay.
Mahendra bhai, we'll have to stop now because the time is less and there are 2 more questions. We'll take the questions sometime later. Next is the second last question. If will is executed after death of testator, whether taking probate is legal, and up to what time any person can take objection about not taking probate?
No, I didn't get the question. Can you come again, please?
If will is executed after death of testator without taking probate, if will is executed after death of testator without taking probate, whether this is legal, and up to what time any person can take objection about not taking the probate?
See, the moment you say the will is executed after the death of the testator, the will is null and void. It has no legal sanctity at all. So there is no question of obtaining probate.
Last question for the day. Can we write a general statement that all my assets would go to a particular person, and I am avoiding mention of properties in will? Is it okay?
Yeah, is it okay? But it has to be signed by the testator who is giving away the property in the will, and there has to be signature by the two witnesses. It is as good as will, subject to this condition.
Okay. I think that's it for the Q&A session for today. Anything you want to add, Ritesh bhai?
Thanks. I just want to say thanks for being a nice audience. Actually, I know that I'm not a good speaker, but so far as the law point is concerned, I must have convinced you to some extent. Thanks all audience.
Legal point of view is superb, actually. I would hand over to Bhavesh bhai for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sharvik. Thank you, Pritesh bhai. It was really a good presentation from your side. Even you're admitting that you are not a good speaker, but from questions only you can judge yourself that how good you are, sir. We all have enjoyed your talk. The topic of will and family settlement was really good for us. Your answer more than, I suppose, 25 questions, more than that, and all answer was satisfactory. Your presentation was really good. It was in a lucid manner and as well as simple language, what we understood. We were worried that being an advocate, you might be using some legal language we may not be understood, but it was really, really good. And from behalf of all of us, we are really thankful to you for taking your time and giving us our nice presentation. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. One more announcement. Yeah, one more announcement to our participants that next week we'll have some 2-3 sessions. We'll announce the same by way of mails and WhatsApp. Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thanks, Pritesh, once again. Thank you. We are closing the session. Thank you.